Hey guys, Digitech Lifestyle here, back with another video. Are we out of this inflation cycle or not? Are they playing games with our with the finances, the public finances, etc.? Here you're going to hear from the current Chancellor of the Exchequer and an ex-Chancellor of the Exchequer as to what they both see what's happening and where they see the economy going, and also an ex if you will, Chancellor or Bank of England, whatever you want to call them. He's going to say about why we are in this mess at the moment, and also explains mistakes that all central banks made, and they're all going to make the same mistakes again. They're all following the same mantra, as it will. America says something and all other central banks implement it, like either it be higher interest rates or lower interest rates. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. Anyway, I'll play the video and let me know what you think, guys. Anyway, Digitech Lifestyle.
The Prime Minister's main pledge at the start of this year was to halve inflation. He has more than delivered that.
Bringing inflation down is better than a poke in the eye with a blunt stick. It's clearly good news. And in fairness, let's put it this way, it may have come down because of what the Bank of England is doing, but it's also come down because of what the government isn't doing. The point was made, Trussonomics fueled inflation. And I think it's easy to forget, we all keep on talking about the Ukraine, but actually Brexit has fueled inflation massively. We get 28% of our food from the EU, and the price of food from the EU has been dramatically raised by the problems of being outside of the single market. So, and it's going to potentially get worse again when the checks are introduced next year, which are going to produce more delays for imports from the EU. So I reserve judgment on whether we're going to be able to sustain this. But yes, it is good news. Of course it is.
Central banks have lost control of inflation. Governments lost control of the public finance. Not surprising that markets respond to that.
And whose responsibility was it then, if both the central bank and the government lost control?
Well, I think all central banks in the West, interestingly, made the same mistake. And during COVID, when the economy was actually contracting because of lockdown, central banks decided it was a good time to print a lot of money. That was a mistake. That led to inflation. We had too much money chasing too few goods, and the result was inflation. That was predictable, it was predicted, and it happened.
It's undeniable now that we're seeing much bigger slowdown in trade in the UK compared to the rest of the world. The simple way of thinking about what Brexit's done to the economy is that in the period that happened after the referendum, there was the very, very sort of powerful, the biggest appreciation that any of the world's four major economies have seen overnight.
The graphs are remarkable, just almost vertically down at the moment, sterling on the markets.
That contributed to increasing prices, reduced wages. We think that number is about 2.6% below the trend that real wages would have been on.
Because I look at a lot of firm-level data, and the small firms are the ones that are most damaged because the cost of the paperwork and so forth is a barrier. It's not just small firms in the UK who want to export, but it is also small firms in Europe who were suppliers and provided competition in the UK market. So there is an inflationary effect coming through the competition channel.
And then you're going to hear a couple of clips, shall I say, from why the spot ETF. And these two guys here, I don't know their names, but this video was posted by Rohit, Let's Do It, 2022, on what the difference between a spot ETF and an ETF, spot ETF and the other one, X-traded, whatever they call it, because you know what, not being funny, so many acronyms, it's hard to keep up. But you're going to hear the differences and what it means for the crypto industry and Bitcoin in general going forward. And it's massive. And then another video after that. And then I'm out. If you like this content, guys, please like and subscribe.
To two key things that you need to understand. Number one, spot Bitcoin ETFs have been filed before, and the SEC has not approved them. BlackRock, very well connected. I would be very surprised if BlackRock would do this and not get approved, because in all of BlackRock's history, they've only been denied once. They have been approved every other time. I don't know how many times that is, but you can look it up. BlackRock has a history of making these relationships and only requesting approval when they're pretty sure they're getting approved. So that's a major point. A lot of people think this is going to happen. And number two, also the reason this is a big deal, because this is a spot ETF. A spot ETF, different from a futures ETF. A futures ETF, you don't actually have to hold the asset, the spot asset. With a spot ETF, you actually have to back what you're allowing people to trade. So they have to actually have a custody of that Bitcoin. And when somebody says, I'm buying this Bitcoin, they have to hold that, and that Bitcoin has to be accounted for. So that's huge. And
have invested in Bitcoin, but not all of them. So as we sent this out and said we were updating our kind of, our investment policy statement to include Bitcoin when the ETFs come out, that we'd like to add it. So far, no one's opted out. In fact, we've had a number of people say, hey, isn't it reasonable to expect that the price would go up? And if so, I don't want to wait until that happens. Like, shouldn't I be buying more now? So it's actually, we have people buying more now, which I think is great.
I think, as was mentioned in the report, we will get there soon, I hope, in the United States. And I think that will create a massive opportunity for growth. I think that regulation's important to kind of prevent this fear of you're going to go to jail, or you're going to get this wrong, or you're going to get fined, right? But I think that it's really critical that we get past where's the safe place to do crypto, which I hope is soon, because there's 8 billion people on the planet, and about 70% of them have mobile cell phone access, and digital assets enable the financialization of the internet, and we can bring financial services and digital assets to every single person on the planet that has a phone, and that's going to transcend local regulation. So I think that the key is, let's get the regulation in place so we can all build businesses and create economic value globally.
Before I throw it to the panel, what Sean's...
How do you see the market in the minute?
I describe it like this. There is going to be, in about 5 years, we will look back on this time right now that me and you are talking at this very moment, and we will determine this time as a pre-Bitcoin spot ETF time and a post-Bitcoin spot ETF time. And the question will be for you is, or for anyone watching is, were you in before the spot ETF or were you in after the spot ETF? This is a monumentally important moment for Bitcoin. And I genuinely believe that if you are too late to this, if you sleep on this because you're too busy, trading or, trying to DCA, which I hate again, trying to do all of these limp strategies, thinking that you are going to acquire Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to price you out faster than you can imagine.